Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Larry Force, and welcome to another session of Intersections. I'm one of the co-founders of NOAR, which is the National Organization of Adult Addiction and Recovery. I co-founded it with two of my friends, Dave Brinkerhoff and Jim Ball. We thought there was a need to develop a presence for adults walking along the recovery path, because recovery in adulthood is different than recovery for individuals that are adolescent. The theory is grounded, the organization is grounded in a theory that I created about 12 years ago called the theory of dimensionality. And it's a here and now theory. And the fact is, the main emphasis is that, we're not your heroes. We can't fix you. And the reason we can't fix you is because you're not broken. And if you feel better about yourself, then you'll feel better about the things around you, including your own recovery. At this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Jim Ball, and he's going to provide you with an overview of Intersections, what we intend to do today. He's also going to introduce our other co-founder, and then he's going to introduce Elisa Williams. So, Jim?
Okay, thanks, Larry. Jim Ball. I'm the coordinator of peer services over at MHA. And before we get any further along, I just want to introduce Dave Brinkerhoff. He is the board chair of the MARC agency. Dave, can you say hello?
Good afternoon. On behalf of MARC and MHA, Elisa, I'd like to thank you for taking your time to sit with us and help our people. It's a great thing, and I think we're headed the right direction. Thanks.
No, thanks for letting me be here. It's a real honor.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Just by way of a little bit more of an introduction to Intersections and peer services at MHA, as the coordinator of peer services, I am a person in long-term recovery. I have some sustained recovery from both substance and mental health. I work on these things a day at a time, and I've been able to have some success in the community, do work I'm passionate about, and have a family as a result of being able to focus on recovery. So how do we get there? We're talking about the Intersections program, and the Intersections program, it's a modular recovery program that is designed to help prevent reoccurrences. In my history, for about 10 years, I was in and out, and now some of you might be able to relate to that. As we look at the recidivism and staying out of services, and to also try to stay on some kind of recovery plan and have success back in the family and community. And how do we do this? The Intersections program, we have a series of self-care modules. You guys, we did the meditation last week. We've done some nutrition, some movement, and today we're going to look at mindfulness with a person who I highly respect. She's the owner of the Hudson Valley Healing Center, and someone who is really a leader in this field. So without going any further, I'll let Elisa tell you a little bit about her path. And Elisa, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Jim, Dave, and Larry. It's great to be here and to be sharing. Mindfulness has really impacted my life. I got into the study of mindfulness about 15, 16 years ago when our family was affected by a medical issue. And I really needed that wake-up call in my life to be like, let's examine what's important. Let's examine what is important in my life. What do I hope to get out of it? And if I only had 1 year left, where do I really want to be? What impact do I want to have on my family and my friends and the people around me? And what do I want to be remembered for? And when I had to start asking myself those questions, I realized that mindfulness was the way to incorporate where I wanted to go into my current life.
And how did you come to start the Healing Center, Elisa?
Yeah, the Healing Center was birthed out of that original desire. I knew there had to be people like me who were searching and longing and just wanted to go somewhere where they could be themselves and be part of a community, and at the same time try things that would be the key to unlocking where they wanted to go on their journey. So we decided to put the center in Poughkeepsie, which is the town that I was born in. So we moved back up here as a family and we opened up the center.
Yeah, it's such a great place. I've been coming over using the Salt Cave and some of the other yoga and classes with my family, but also with some clients. You know, I know you've got a long-term relationship with the MHA at this point, and how's that working out? Because I know also some of the residents from Florence Manor have been have come to the agency.
Yeah, so in addition to having, everybody walk in, we were able to form relationships with corporations that range from banks to nonprofits, where we become the wellness program for those organizations. So instead of them taking on hiring internal staff or giving credits and monitoring them, we're able to step in there. It shows their staff that they care about well-being, work-life balance. And then it also shows that we're here for them. It allows them to come and explore. So taking those two things into consideration, it's a great working relationship. We enjoy having the people coming in, the employees coming in and learning different things and knowing more about what we do here. And then we're better able to gear what we offer to meet things that they're interested in.
And how about before we came online, we were talking a little bit about self-care and mindfulness. Could you give us some of your views on that?
Oh my God, self-care is my favorite thing. And I think for me, a lot of times it's remembering that when I take time to practice, that I'm better able to show up and be there for the ones in my life. When I take time to really love myself, I'm better able to love other people. And it takes, sometimes it's more of a challenge than it seems, even when you've been practicing for years. A lot of times if I want to either do a meditation practice or if I want to go running, or I feel like, oh, but I should be doing X for somebody else. I should be playing with the dog or spending time with my daughter. And it's like that little internal war, but you always feel great when you practice self-care. And self-care comes in so many different options. It's not just sitting and meditating for an hour. It's opening your door when you're having coffee and breathing in fresh air, or buying yourself something to try or use, whether it's a salt scrub or a new product, or go out and try to sage your house. And let's just kind of just try something new and it might work out. It's also the foods that you eat, the air that you breathe, and the thoughts that you have. So sometimes you could just take 1 minute, 30 seconds, and just kind of self-check, tune in and see what you really need at that moment or at that day. And when you start realizing what you need from a self-care perspective, you're better able, for the people that you're close to and around, able to read what they need.
And I really like what you said about the fact that when people think about mindfulness and meditation, they think about a lotus position and they think about an hour, but that's not really what you're talking about. You're really talking about it starts in the moment, just by taking a breath. Is there a way, it could be for a minute, is there a way that you could demonstrate for all of us the practice of that? When you're going through a busy day, you're talking about being with the dog, being with your daughter, being at work. How do you go about managing yourself by just practicing that simple little technique that maybe you could show us now?
I think the first thing you have to do is practice non-judgment. And non-judgment of yourself, and just knowing that whether it's one breath, 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 40 minutes, it's exactly what you need. So if we want together, you can just find a comfortable seat and just make a little bit more of an effort than normal to reach the top of your head towards the ceiling. Your eyes can be opened or closed. It's totally up to you. And just spend a couple moments right here connecting with your breath, with your body. And then I want you to slowly inhale through your nose, watching your belly rise. And when you're ready in your time, exhaling and watching your belly button move closer to your spine. Inhaling when you're ready. And exhaling. Moving at your own pace. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Not trying to control or manipulate it in any way, but just allowing it to be. The good part about this is you can use your belly as your anchor, bringing you back to the present moment when you find that your mind is no longer with your breath, with your breathing. And if that doesn't feel right for you today, you can try the air flowing in and out of your nose, or the place at which your hands make contact with the surface they're on. Whatever it is for you. And that'll be your anchor for your practice. And it can also be an anchor for you for the rest of your day. Knowing that when you're no longer in the present moment with your thoughts or with your emotions, that you're able to come back to that anchor. And that anchor is there for you in the present moment. Just allowing yourself to have 2 more breaths here, breathing in and breathing out. And whenever you're ready, slowly blinking your eyes open. And noticing how you feel right now.
You know, when I have listened to you and watched members of your community practice, it reminds me of attending a conference. And the conference was about using mindfulness as a therapeutic intervention. And what he said, which I never forgot, is that when people focus on the past, it's all about depression. And that when people focus on the future, it's all about anxiety. And the power of mindfulness is to be able to stay in the moment. And that's not a thought process, but it's an actual action process of just stopping whatever you're doing, get into that comfortable place. And if you can't sit down, it's just looking at something, focusing on something, closing your eyes, breathing in and out, and just continue to focus on your breathing. And that is such a simple, but it's so powerful. And I think, what you've brought to, the community, not only with your focus on, yoga and meditation, but all the other things that you have to offer, because you've put together a network of people, of healers. And I think that, the takeaway message as we continue to have this discussion is that you don't have to do this alone. And it's not something you can't do on your own.
I just want to say, Elisa, that was great. I love the mindfulness component. For me, I know that these things are good for me. Some meditation or going for a run or doing it. Sometimes I feel like I have a hand on my chest saying, don't do it. You don't need to do that. But when I apply the principles of mindfulness, I can tell myself, I'm doing something good for myself. I'm doing self-care right now. That completely changes it for me, because a lot of times I'll have these negative, like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, I'll be thinking about, maybe what's going on out in the world today, or I'll be thinking about work or a relationship thing and the racing thoughts. And I know that if I do my breathing exercises, or I do some kind of meditation, or even just read some literature, that will help me. But it's that component of being present and saying, I'm doing something good for myself right now. I'm taking that time for myself. That really kind of, it's like a little miracle that it just changes that whole paradigm of where what I'm thinking about. So thank you.
Yeah, self-care, right? It all goes back to that. And I think too, it's really great to model for your children, if you have children in your family, that you're setting the example and your actions speak so much louder than your words. And it's not like you have to be withdrawn for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. You could just wash dishes and be mindful. You could walk the dog and be mindful. You could garden, vacuum, whatever it is in your world, you can just stop and just be mindful. You know, a lot of times we, in the hospital, we're training doctors, and it's just taking that one step from one exam room to the next and just having one step, be mindful, allowing you to separate yourself from the last patient to see the future patient and be there in a state that's better to serve both of you.
You know, you mentioned you referenced this idea of self-care. And last week we had Debbie Just on. And you and Debbie have collaborated on and published a book. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about that, about the mindfulness practice of eating.
Yeah, you guys got to meet Debbie, and she is fantastic. And it was just an honor and a privilege to collaborate with her on a book that was bringing recipes and home cooking to families that were really busy, and bringing back the, you know, we can cook something together. It doesn't take very long. It doesn't have to be extremely difficult. So we created a cookbook called Stupid Easy that's available at the center or on our Facebook page. And it's just a great tasting recipes that are easy to do. And you'll be noticing how your kids get involved in the kitchen as well.
You referenced the center. How would, maybe you could give some contact information about how people would be able to touch base with you?
Absolutely. So you can reach us over at the center at 51 Springside Avenue. Our center's name is Hudson Valley Healing Center. Or you can reach us out with the email, which is Elisa, ELISA, at hudsonvalleyhealingcenter.com. And the number over here is 845-849-0838.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for bringing that all to us. Also, just on the peer services, the recovery coach side, for anyone who's interested, you can, we'll have the worksheet, our information's on there. And if anyone didn't get Elisa's information, you can contact me at the agency, and we can definitely connect you guys with the Healing Center. I know that Florence Manor has a relationship, and a lot of the residents have been over there on multiple times to use the salt caves. So it's great having you with us today.
It was so much fun. Thank you, guys. And if you need anything, just reach out.
Well, we can't thank you enough. Dave, summary comments?
Thanks, Elisa. Really, really appreciate it being there for us.
Absolutely. So look, our purpose today was to present to you a technique of mindfulness. And I don't think that, as Jim said, I don't think we could have asked anybody else that we felt more comfortable with and have more experience in this area than you, Elisa. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, and we'll see you at our next session.
Absolutely. Come on in.
All right, bye now.